For the Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mohammed Adamu, seeking the support of Algeria to combat insecurity, insurgency and terrorism in the country may just be another option at this time. Mr. Adamu made the appeal when he received a delegation from the African Union Mechanism for Police Cooperation led by its president, Mr. Khalifa Onusi, who is indeed the Inspector General of Police of Algeria at the police headquarters in Abuja.
Yeah. The Inspector General of Police is meeting the Algerian delegation under the auspices of the African Union Mechanism for Police Cooperation. The meeting is to discuss the details for the 4th General Assembly of the Cooperation, which will be held later in the year in Abuja.
I know you are in the...
Beyond the continental cooperation, the police chiefs plan to share experiences on how to combat insurgency.
Algeria has a vast experience in tackling terrorism, and I think it is second to none in Africa because of what you have achieved already in solving problems of terrorism. And insurgency and terrorism is what is affecting us now in this country, Nigeria. We will appreciate if we can come up with a cooperation mechanism where the experience you have can be shared with us, either in terms of capacity building or personnel exchange between the two countries.
The
tightening of the cooperation between our services, our institutions, will enable us to reach this level and to be at the level of the developed countries in the policy.
Les points de convergence, les rassembler.
You will recall that recently.
Meanwhile, the intelligence response team of the Inspector General of Police have arrested a 34-year-old female teacher, Grace Ibrahim, for spreading false information that a policeman was involved in the kidnap of Kaduna doctor Philip Ataga's wife and 2 children. The suspect is accused of spreading a false message that one of the children had identified a neighbor who is a policeman as the person that ordered the shooting of their mother.
If you are not sure of the authenticity of that story, if you cannot verify the story, if you cannot confirm if indeed this story is true, please don't push the button on your phone.
The suspect is apologizing to the police for sending unverified information, but that may not be the end of the case, as she is facing prosecution by the police.
At least 4 persons have been confirmed killed and 34 others injured from a tanker explosion in Kutigi town in Lavun local government area of Niger State. The sector commander of the Federal Road Safety Corps in the state, Mr. Joel Dagwa, says that the explosion happened after a collision involving a tanker carrying substance suspected to be diesel, a container loaded with bags of maize and another trailer. 4 persons were burnt beyond recognition, while those injured are currently receiving treatment at the General Hospital in Kutigi. Nigeria's dream of becoming a fully digitized economy could be an impossible mission unless emphases are shifted from certificates to skills acquisition and digital innovations. That's according to the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy, Mr. Ibrahim Pantami. He made the remarks at the conference in Abuja, where the need for government and parents to invest on ICT programs for secondary school children, especially girls, formed the focus of discussions there.
The Ladi Kwali Hall in Abuja is filled to capacity, with the Minister of Communications and Digital Economy and other dignitaries in the ICT world in attendance. The conference, with the theme ICT Innovation for Inclusion in a Digital Economy, emphasizes the need for the government and parents to invest in information and communication technology to drive the economy.
We talk about STEM, we talk about science, technology, innovation, but believe me, the aspect that facilitates it and is central and integral in all of this is information and communication technology.
The successful effort that will ensure the implementation of a digital economy in any nation relies on 2 things. 1, indigenous innovation. 2, digital entrepreneurship. Without these 2 no digital economy will be implemented.
The federal government's desire to run a digital economy inspired the change of name of the Ministry of Communications to Ministry of Communications and Digital Economy in 2019. Beyond the name change, the task of running a digital economy in a country with very low broadband penetration is no doubt a Herculean task. According to the Nigeria Communications Commission (NCC), broadband penetration in 2013 was only 6%. This grew to a little over 30% in 2018 and 32.3% as of January 2019. But low broadband penetration may not be the only impediment to Nigeria's dream of a digital economy.
We are so much addicted to certificates. People drive pleasure in saying, I have BTech, BSc, PhD, this and that. We have many intellectual giants globally in the digital world. They don't have any strong certificate to present. What we are after in digital cycle is come and demonstrate what you can do. We are after your own output, not papers that can be presented.
However, the government appears undeterred in its pursuit of a digital economy, as the consensus at this conference is to encourage both the government and parents to invest more in ICT innovation and digital skills acquisition.
Let's shift our gears now to business news with Teniola Shobowale.
Banking, so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Thanks, Gimba. Welcome to Business News. Nigeria's headline inflation rose by 0.15% to 12.13% in January 2020 from 11.98% recorded in December. That's according to latest data released by the National Bureau of Statistics. It's the fifth straight month increase and the highest annual rate since April 2018 that the country's headline inflation rate has trended above a 12% level, as the closure of Nigeria's borders continues to affect the prices of food and other segments of the inflation index. Meanwhile, the NBS data shows that food inflation index rose to 14.85%, core inflation was higher at 9.35%, urban inflation grew to 12.78%, while rural inflation rose to 11.54%. Meanwhile, the International Monetary Fund has revised Nigeria's growth forecast for 2020 downwards to 2% from 2.5%, reflecting the impact of lower international oil prices caused by the coronavirus outbreak. The IMF says the pace of economic recovery remains slow as decline in real incomes and weak investments continue to weigh on economic activity. The Washington-based fund expects inflation to pick up, while worsen in terms of trade and capital outflows will weaken the country's external position. The IMF recommends major policy adjustments to contain short-term vulnerabilities, build resilience, and unlock growth potential. Well, the bears maintained dominance at the equities market for a second day after investors extended sell pressure, mostly on Tier 1 banking stocks. Layo Adegoke has details of Tuesday's closing figures at the NSE.
Thank you for joining us for the stock market report. An additional 12 billion naira is lost to fresh profit-taking by investors at the stock market as negative sentiment enters a second day within the week. The latest round of sell-off, which pushed the all-share index lower by 0.08%, largely affected the Tier 1 components of the banking sector, and it comes amid a mixed sectoral performance. Investors' interest for stocks still remains weak, but slightly higher when compared to Monday's session, after over 168 million units changed hands for 2.15 billion naira in over 3,000 deals. WAPIC Insurance regained 10% from its previous loss to lead 11 other gainers. Law Union tops a list of 13 losers, down by 4.8%, while Zenith Bank is the most actively traded stock with nearly 49 million shares. Well, that's it on the stock market report. I'm Layo Adegoke.
Now, the Ogun State Governor, Mr. Dapio Abiodun, is requested for a special recognition and status for the state in the allocation of value-added tax derivable from companies located and operating in the state to ensure fairness and equity. The governor made the demand when the chairman and management of the Federal Inland Revenue Service paid him a visit in his office in Abeokuta, the state capital. The governor and the chairman of the Inland Revenue Service, however, agreed in the areas of information sharing, cooperation and human capital development on tax generation and administration to improve the frontier of tax and economic development.
Meaningful industry in Nigeria that is not here in the States. However, when VATs are computed, what we see is different, because this industry is now the administrative headquarters in Lagos. Lagos gets the benefit of the VAT. I believe we call it attribution. The revenue in resource control, we call it. I didn't say it, you said it. I believe that we should visit this, we should look at it, and we should try and find a way to more equitably compensate us.
Let's take a look at the global markets now. Some of the world's leading stock markets closed today's session mostly lower, following revenue warnings by big companies such as Apple, HSBC on the impact of the coronavirus. Here are some of their closing figures. And that's business news tonight. It's back to you, Gimba.
Banking so easy, so simple. Dial *894# now to experience it. You first, First Bank.
Brilliant, Teniola. Still ahead on the news at 10, Chinese health officials published first details of more than 44,000 cases of COVID-19 in biggest studies since outbreak of virus. And more from our London studios and around the world in 5. Plus, Tottenham Hotspur suffers huge setback after South Korea forward Heung-min Son was ruled out of the rest of the season owing to a broken arm. That's our sports news. Join us again.